Is this a monologue? Is my intention driving the language from beginning to end? Or am I taking advantage of having my moment under the lights or in front of the camera? And if I do have one, what is my intention? Will I change by the end of this as a character is supposed to do, if indeed I am a character? What if the change has already taken place? What if that's why I wrote this? Am I addressing the prompt or theme or whatever? Masks. Am I wearing one now, proverbial or otherwise? Or am I just being a smartass, dicking around with the fourth wall in lieu of breaking it? And while competing with my fellow artists, some of whom I admire, some whom I resent, and most of whom I don't know at all, will I deliver? Will I be able to run with this long enough to soar into the sky like at the end of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? Or will a Chekhovian whimper have to suffice? When I'm finished, will I still be here? Inside the box, trying to think my way out of it? In my attempt to be daring, will I find that removing one mask has only revealed another? I've always hated masks, actual ones, Halloweeny ones, frozen emotions, dead stares, rubbery skin. Ugh. Once, when I took my son trick-or-treating in an upscale high-rise, an occupant answered the door in a black shroud with a terrifying latex mask and a bucket of almond joys. Jonathan, just 6, burst into tears. The creep refused to remove his mask and just poured candy into the wound. As I carried my sobbing child down the street, I kept wondering why he didn't pull off the mask and de-terrify the poor kid. Is being cruel that much fun? Like I said, I hate masks. Does this sound like I'm talking to someone specific and that I have a reason to talk to them? Like I have something crucial to say? Should I raise the stakes to make you really care, take you out of yourself, or better, into yourself? Or should I just say, fuck the rules and say what I want to say, that I hate doing this, baring my throat to critics, asking for it, trying yet again to create something that matters, that will be judged by someone who will compare it to something someone they admire said was either bad or good? Competitions and contests and awards and prizes. We want winners. We want the best of the best. But who is making that determination? And for what reason? Does it make you feel like a winner to hand out trophies and laurels? Does merely recognizing merit let you off the hook so you don't have to try anymore? Or to be kinder, do the best of intentions simply lack the means and funds to cast a wider, more inclusive net? Who knows? Still, in the end, when someone is declared the winner, you know what that makes everyone else? Losers. No almond joys, and no one to carry you home sound. Shortly after my father died, I won a writing competition. I'm convinced it was because I wasn't trying to win. I was grieving. Not the loss of my father as much as not ever really having one. Someone who had your back instead of lashing a belt across it. My story was about an old drunk at a seedy midtown bar who was probably a prick to his family, but the nicest guy in the world when anchored to the third bar stool from the door. The story was really about my father, though, trying to forgive a man who couldn't give away what he didn't have. Writing is a kind of mask. More often than not, I write about how I wish I were rather than how I really am. My favorite rabbi says, to be or not to be is not the question, rather how to be or not to be. Oy vey. I guess that's what I'm trying to do here. Unpack that, hang a hard left and a hairpin right, remove the disguises and sides and the mask with which I don't think I've ever left home without. Odd how much I resent being required to wear one nowadays, when all my life I've worn more than in a Commedia dell'arte production. I always knew I was gay, and it felt totally normal until it didn't, or until someone told me it wasn't. I hate that people hate you even when they say they don't. I never told my father I was gay, but he tried to beat me out of it, tried to beat it out of me anyway. I was always able to pass another mask. I was almost 30 before I removed that one, although it still shows up from time to time. And classrooms and at family reunions and correctional facilities. I was supposed to have been a full-time teacher. Now, that's a job, according to the truck drivers and office clerks and postal workers from which I hail. Actually, it would have been a step up to them. No one ever said it, but it was understood that if you didn't hate your job, you didn't have one. Living by that tenet would mean I've been unemployed for the greater part of my life. I've always felt that if I'm not worrying about something, I'm being irresponsible. And yet I don't want to feel what I'm feeling most of the time because, I don't know, it's embarrassing. That's why I wanted to be an actor, to feel someone else's feelings. I got really good at it until I found out I had it all wrong. That the whole point of acting was to expose my character, not disappear inside another one. My earliest memory of being me, of having my own thoughts and impulses, was in first grade. My teacher said that there would be a food drive for the poor and asked for canned goods as they kept longer and traveled farther. A light switched on. I could help people who were really far away. At last, I could be a part of the world. I begged my mom to buy extra cans, and each week she set aside a couple while unpacking the food order. The day I lugged my brown paper garbage bag filled with canned meat and vegetables to school, I felt like I was crossing the ocean. And later that morning, when the announcement came over the PA that it was time to bring the food down to the gym, I could barely contain my excitement. I clunked down the stairs, hugging the bag to my chest, stopping every couple of steps to readjust the shifting load and keep everything from spilling out. I felt such joy that morning, so happy to be alive, so grateful that I had something to give. And I wasn't embarrassed or ashamed of how I felt. I wasn't hiding any part of myself from anyone. All these years later, I see how there was a pure beginning, an acceptance of who I was, and a deep pleasure in what I was doing. I have spent decades trying to get back there. I'm getting close to the end here. There's a word limit to this monologue, even though theater is not supposed to be about words, rather doing. So what am I doing here? What do I want? To simply win the prize, or some cosmic argument, or at life? If I lose this contest, it will just be one more thing I've tried and haven't gotten, and it won't make much difference once the next thing comes along. And if I win, same story. It's true that nothing really lasts, good or bad. As a dear friend said shortly before she died, Riley quoting Heraclitus, "The only constant is change." I have changed. Somewhere along the way, I forgave my childhood and owned my life, my work, my sexuality, my conditioning, my heart. And I did it by simply putting one foot in front of the other, speaking one more speech, tapping one more word onto the page. So I'll leave it up to you to decide if this was a monologue or not. If it was a real person speaking to real people, if it was honest, and if, like that little boy with his cans, it helped.
Oh, God.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Take a bow, Rich.